Welcome to the Thought Leadership Series featuring interviews with some of the best minds in the industry. Today's special guest is popular platform speaker and best-selling author, Anthony Morris. Hello everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and talk show host. In this segment, we're talking about the Pressure Test Questionnaire, featuring 5 probing questions in the financial planning process from Anthony's popular presentations and best-selling book, Turning Professional Days into Paydays. Well, the first time I saw you do this, I have to say, I was amazed at these questions because I think I don't want to say that our advisors are not skilled in asking good questions, but I think we need help here.
Sure, absolutely, Steve. You know, I find we're using so much old and stale and trite and tired language today. Everybody's running around asking, you know, would you like a second opinion? I was in Des Moines, Iowa the other day, driving down the highway. There's a big old billboard, the Cancer Centers of America, don't you feel you deserve a second opinion? And we're still teaching rookies in the business to walk around offering a second opinion. I don't think anyone woke up this morning in Scottsdale or any city in America asking, wanting a second opinion. So we've changed that a little bit, Steve. We talk about a pressure test. And what I want to do in this first show is share the first 5 points on the pressure test. But before I do, let me position how you use the pressure test. Let's say you're doing a trade show booth, okay? People come by, take the 60-second pressure test. Everybody's got 60 seconds to evaluate their financial situation. Now, it might take them a little longer than 60 seconds to complete the questions. I contact you using slide dial mixed with email, as we discussed in a previous show, and I say, you know, Steve, I accept and appreciate the fact that you already have a guy or gal looking after you. How would you like to pressure test the advice you've been receiving in about 60 seconds? And I would email you while I've got you on the phone this pressure test. I have advisors and agents, obviously check with your own compliance department and market conduct before you do this, who have this pressure test on their website, okay? If I'm asking you to introduce me to your circle of influence or put me in the room with your accountant, your CPA or your attorney as a business owner, I would encourage you to forward this pressure test to them as well. So it's a great kind of quick needs analysis that uses the right language. So let's take a look at the first 5 questions here. Question 1, has a written financial strategy or plan been documented and updated at least annually to adjust for changed circumstances, market trading conditions, and latest carrier solutions? You know, Steve, I was with a group of 120 in Denver on Friday, financial advisors. I asked them, how many of you have seen a new client in the last 3 months? Of course, all the hands went up. I said, how many of you in the last 3 months have sat before that one or more prospects who've taken out an existing documented financial plan or strategy with graphs and charts analyzing college planning, estate planning, retirement solutions, all of those things, and put it in front of you saying, there's our plan or strategy, tell me what you think. And do you know, Steve, that once again, 1 or 2 hands out of 120 went up. So most people are going to fail this first question. A plan is not a plan unless it's documented. You can't carry it around up here. Second question, was the appropriate inflation indexing used in creating and funding the strategy? Because, Steve, you and I know that there's inflation and then there's senior inflation. And bread, butter, eggs, and milk tend to go up by 2 or 3% a year. But we know that university education at the University of Arizona and the cost of college tuition, the cost of a Caribbean cruise, and certainly doctors, pills, and hospitals go up by a lot more than 2 or 3% a year. Medical inflation over the last decade in the United States has averaged a 7% increase. And the point being that when you're 70 and 80 years old, you shop from a basket of doctors, pills, hospitals, and Caribbean cruises more than from bread, butter, eggs, and milk. So that's a disturbing and intriguing question. Was the appropriate life expectancy used in creating and funding the strategy? As good friend of ours, Tommy Hegner, says, life expectancy is a midpoint. And the challenge is, how lucky do you feel, Steve? You might outlive 85. And so you have to build it to life expectancy of about 100. If we're doing planning for 60-year-olds today, we've got to be building to plan 100. So that you run out of months before you run out of money. That's the point behind retirement. You don't want to run out of money before you run out of months. Have the long-term care expenses been accounted for by the strategy in order to protect the children's retirement from the unfunded health issues of the parents. And Steve, you and I have talked about this often enough before, this demographic tsunami that we have right now, with 10,000 people turning 65 every single day for the next 16 years in the United States alone. We've got a massive long-term care crisis in our hands. There's no way that the government of the future can write the size checks that would be needed for all of the caregiving facilities. I mean, I fly a lot, as I know you do, Steve, and I open the airline magazines, and it struck me the other day, and it struck me again this weekend watching TV, all the advertising it for old people. Have you noticed how many ads there are for adult diapers, followed by you can get this medication, followed by you can get this elevator to take you up the stairs and get you in this bath? There's no advertising focused on young folks anymore. And that's the way of our world. So questions 4 is very important, because quite frankly, you can be worth $3 million at age 65 and be worth $2 million at age 75. And in every one of those years, the stock market grew. Well, when we talk to our clients this way, they're kind of like, that doesn't sound like correct mathematics. You go, no, it's called $100,000 a year for a private nurse from age 65 to age 75. And if you're the only kid cutting that check, you just went from being worth $3 million to being worth $2 million. So, Steve, quite frankly, these returns which my competitor has illustrated are irrelevant unless we parent-proof your financial plan. Critically important. You can use annuities to take care of the problem, or if the client still qualifies from an underwriting perspective, long-term care. And does the strategy contain the correct blend of mortality credits with guaranteed income paychecks and lifestyle paychecks for retirement? Critically important. And what are mortality credits? Frequent flyer points for living longer. Okay? I mean, you don't find the bank paying you out to higher on a savings account. You don't find companies issuing dividends to old people and paying them more. But certainly, because life insurance companies know when you're going to die, we can pay people out as if we knew exactly when they were going to die. And so you've got to have guaranteed income. The food and the fun have got to be guaranteed to beyond life expectancy. And then you can optimize the portfolio with stock market instruments and everything else beyond that. First 5 questions of a pressure test.
Well, for more information on how you can use the pressure test in financial planning process and how it can expand your practice, just click on the landing page address in the video description. We'll be right back with more from Anthony Morris.
This is your website. Few people visit, and if it isn't attracting new visitors, it's not doing its job. Now you can drive more visitors to your website through dynamic content and email marketing with CreativeOne's Social Media Elite. Capture quality leads faster and easier. Engage your visitors with informative articles and videos to boost your online credibility. Plus, stay connected with existing clients and earn more referrals. All content is customized for you. It's time to introduce your website to the world. Call your CreativeOne sales team at 800-992-2642 or visit us online at CreativeOne.com.
In this segment, we're talking about the Pressure Test Questionnaire, featuring 5 more probing questions in the financial planning process from Anthony's popular presentations and best-selling book, Turning Professional Days into Paydays. Well, Anthony, let's talk about these. I love that first segment. These questions are very probing, and again, I think we need a track to run on. As professionals, we don't really know the diagnostic questions that are going to open up our clients' thinking.
Well, the point is, and we share this philosophy, Steve, it's not the big that eat the small in today's economy. It's the fast that eat the slow. And when you've got that client on the phone, or you're standing next to them in the pub, at the neighborhood barbecue, at the soccer, whatever, you've got a very few seconds to be able to send them an email or to be able to engage them differently in terms of the kinds of questions you should be asking them about their money. So let's take a look at the second half of the pressure test. Question 6, are the lazy assets being leveraged to accelerate family wealth? What are lazy assets? You know, Grandpa Bob is 80 years old and he owns 1 acre of land at the base of the Aspen ski resort in Colorado. He's owned it since 1939. He was thinking of putting a family compound on there, but he went off to South Carolina to build his business for 40 or 50 years. Now he's back. He still owns that 1 acre of land and he's thinking of leaving that to his kids in his estate. Now, Steve, you tell me what 40-year-olds will do with 1 acre of land at the base of the Aspen ski resort. They'll auction it within 2 weeks of his funeral because it takes $2 million to put a home of any stature on that particular property. Well, that's a lazy asset. And what we've got to do is make sure that some of these lazy assets, family heirlooms, are actually leveraged to accelerate family wealth and to protect the family from nursing home bills. Question 7, Does the plan contain fully comprehensive disability and income protection benefits, or what I have termed PEP insurance? PEP insurance really is potential earning power. Start talking to people about PEP insurance. You could be walking around at the neighborhood barbecue. People say, what do you do for a living? You say, I help people with their PEP insurance. And 100% of people lose the right at that point to go, oh, I've got my PEP insurance as well. You know that we've got a plan for probability and possibility, Steve. In a business relationship between you and I, there's a possibility one of us dies, a far greater actuarial probability that one of us becomes partially or fully disabled during the period of our relationship financially. In other words, you've got to allow people to be able to die and get a check. But Steve, with this plan, you can half die and still get a check. What does half die? It means your income died, but you didn't completely die. Question 8. Are there estate plan distributions arranged with or without values guidelines? And Steve, the wonderful movie, The Ultimate Gift, which financial advisors I coach use to open up their clients' mind about stitching in values into their estate plan, leaving behind meaning, not just leaving behind money, to set up a values trust, which has certain guidelines that stipulate if a child graduates with a 3.2 GPA from ASU or any university, they can get $20,000 from the trust. Any of my kids age 16 to age 23 or 25 who have no demerit points on their driver's license, at the end of the year that you have no demerit points, you can go to Smith the attorney or Jones the accountant, collect a check for $3,000 refund on your car insurance premiums and gas receipts. Any of my kids who get engaged to get married, you will go for 3 months of premarital coaching and counseling with a accredited coach or counselor. And if you do that, you can have 20 or 30 grand towards your wedding or honeymoon. That's what's called a values trust. The reason that we want to talk to clients about values trust, Steve, is because it puts you in the room with the family CPA or attorney who becomes an administrator of the trust, bills the trust professional fees, which means that that values trust over 20 years at about $1,500 professional fees per year, you just gave that CPA a $30,000 afternoon. And in my work with top producers, top of the table and above that level people, we find that 50% of their new leads and referrals are coming from CPAs and attorneys. But if you're going to get these people on your side and in your camp, you've got to make sure you focus on billings. That's what they care about as much as anything. Question 9. Has a family meeting been convened at any point to reach consensus on key family issues surrounding long-term care, asset sharing among siblings, and family financial roles in the future? Steve, let's get our advisors and agents out there to start telling people that the difference between me and all of the other financial advisors in town is that I look after families, not just funds. And we really need to heal the family financial situation and get our fingers into the weeds about some of those difficult topics, you know. At what point don't we jumpstart granny? I mean, it sounds like a ludicrous thing to say, but it's real. Those end-of-life issues. Sharing of the family heirlooms. You know, how often have we seen two boys, two sons, fighting over a 1966 Mustang convertible? One of them wants to keep it because it was dad's convertible. The other one wants to sell it. We leave behind properties to children that live all around the world. These are the crazy things that people are doing about them with their money. So you've got to have a family meeting convened, and what that does for the advisor is it opens up numerous opportunities for them to be able to engage brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, moms, and dads. And finally, has an estate directory been completed, and are the executors aware of its whereabouts? In a previous show, we talked about the financial key in the estate directory. Mission critical that you get your clients to store in one place all of their financial information, not in the cloud, on an actual USB that gets stored in the family safety deposit box. And literally, if you can sit down and do 50 or 100 estate directories a year, it's actually the finest asset and liabilities register you can wish for, Steve. It's the finest needs analysis that the client does. And I have some people that I coach who go from doing their estate directory straight into financial solutions. You don't have to do a 100-page plan because all of the necessary salient facts are in front of you about the money, the different financial instruments, and all of those relationships surrounding the money with all the people involved. So there it is, the pressure test. I'd encourage you to use it if you're doing lunch and learns and seminars. Put it in people's pack. If you can put it on your website, use it in your social media, write a newsletter about it, carry a nice thick blue-printed cardstock version of it around with you, include it in all of your work with people. I have some folks that actually turn this into a trade show booth, and it's a case of take the pressure test, and people standing there reading the 10 questions, and then you can just have some kind of financial video on the plasma screen with friends that you've interviewed before, the Curtis Cloaks, the Tommy Hegners of the world, to draw people in, and that's the way that we engage people and befriend them.
Well, for more information on how you can use the pressure test and financial planning process and how it can expand your practice, just click on the landing page address in the video description. Anthony has 6 free offers out on his website as an introduction to his marketing menu of services. And for more information on our shows, seminars, and workshops, just follow us on our social media or visit us on our website. I'm Steve Savant. We'll see you next time on the Thought Leadership Series, and remember, keep thinking outside the box.